Hi MACC Network, it's Maya here. I'm the communications specialist, and today we're going to be talking with women's advocates. I'll be meeting up with Sienna right now. Let's go.
Hi MACC Network, my name is Sienna and I am our communications coordinator at Women's Advocates. So I'm excited to show you around our shelter today. Women's Advocates was founded in 1972 as a collective nonprofit. It was mainly for a divorce hotline, but something that the founders found when people were calling in to receive help or legal advice with divorce was that a lot of them were escaping abusive relationships and needing a safe place to stay in order to get out of that relationship. So 2 years later, after sending out many letters to friends, family, and the community, they were able to raise enough money to open our shelter in 1974. Since then, up until today, we serve around 50 victim survivors and their children daily. And we really operate kind of off of a continuum of safety, which is kind of broken up into 3 parts. The first part being violence prevention and education. The second part being shelter and healing, so where we are here. And the third part being safety after shelter, meaning helping victim survivors find safe, stable housing once they leave shelter here so they can continue on to their healing journey with them and their children for a safe future. So those are kind of our 3 parts that we break up our work into, called our continuum of safety, which allows us to help along the healing journey and move forward past unsafe housing. So this way in the backyard, there's a playground for children who are staying, a secure playground place for them to play. This area too, as you can see, we've got some toys and things as well. So this is just kind of a general communal area for people to hang out in. It's a playground area. It's nice that it's in a secured area as well, so putting everyone's safety first is obviously very important to us. We have codes on all of our doors. There have been some changes in numbers, like how many overall residents we're serving, and children as well. Like the numbers have shifted. From 2020 to 2021, the overall number of victim survivors and children we serve, I think we're almost like in half. Like it was a lot less just because of the pandemic. And then in correlation to that, the length of stay was much longer per resident. One of those challenges of keeping people safe and obviously not wanting to have them leave too early when they don't have a safe, secure place to go back to. Okay. Currently, I'm pretty sure people are still taking their meals back to their rooms. Just that's something we started doing during the pandemic. But we do 3 meals a day and snacks, and I think residents are also able to request meals maybe at a different time or snacks at a different time as well.
For sure.
So I think we'll go down this way next and take downstairs. I warned you guys, lots of stairs.
Oh, no worries, no worries. It's like it.
Yeah, so this is some storage area. People obviously are CRAs, crisis resource advocates, answering the phones and the live chats. We have group sessions going on for residents that are staying in shelter right now. Children's programs as well for their children that they might bring with them. And a lot of behind the scenes stuff too, making connections with other organizations in the community and making sure that we're serving people out there the best that we can. So what we're heading down into now is our Serenity room, used for like a quiet space. This is our laundry room over here. Children's clothing, adults' clothing, so that way they can feel comfortable while they're here. So.
A director of development means learning the internal resources that an organization has and how we can use those resources to cultivate more resources from other organizations, other individuals, other corporations, and government entities that might be able to help us grow our work more holistically. I think that there is a common misunderstanding about what a typical abuse narrative. People have an idea in their head of abuse always coming, being a man abusing a woman in very specific circumstances that were set out for very good reason. The people who founded this movement. And for very important reasons, because patriarchy does exist, because most violence that happens is men abusing women. At the same time, I think that we're at a point in the movement where we can and need to expand what those categories mean, expand who is included in those categories, and look at the way that community violence intersects with the LGBT community, intersects with trans brothers and sisters who experience domestic violence at really massive rates. And we really need to start expanding who we allow to tell their story of being a victim survivor of domestic violence. The rights that we have now and the rights that we have that we fought for are not ours forever unless we keep fighting.
Well, I have worked here for 9 years, and over the course of 9 years, it has taught me to be patient, and it has also taught me to be more respectful of the cause itself, domestic violence, and how just the wholeness of family as it relates to domestic violence, and how domestic violence affects every aspect of a victim's life, and just has taught me to be more understanding and to listen more and to be non-judgmental in the things that I hear and I see. And it has also taught me to just be human. I don't have to be superwoman. I don't have to have all the answers, but it has taught me to relate more to the individuals that we serve in the shelter. I would amplify the fact that women's advocates walks with victims, survivors in our community to break the cycle of domestic violence. The misconception is that, there are a certain population that domestic violence happens to, and there are certain people, that don't have certain resources and that are not born into wealth or born into a life of luxury, that these things don't happen to those people. It just happen to poor people who, they're marginalized in society. But the reality of it is, like I said earlier, that domestic violence does not discriminate. Domestic violence does not care what color skin you're in, does not care about your education, does not care about your wealth or your power. Domestic violence can happen to anyone. I think people misunderstand that everybody deserves happiness. They deserve to be safe. No one deserves to be beaten or mistreated. And I think people misunderstand that victims and survivors, they're humans. They're just like the rest of us. They're human beings. They deserve those things that human beings deserve. And I think the misunderstanding is that there's no end in sight. There is an end in sight. And I think we work for that end, for there to be no domestic violence in the world. And I know that's a broad statement. Some people would even say a dream, but we believe that we can live in a world where there is no domestic violence. And that's why we get up and come to work every day. That's why we are advocating. That's why we are pushing. That's why we're cheering for the victims, because we do believe that there's an end in sight for domestic violence.
Thanks so much for stopping by, Mac. It was really great to meet you guys and show you around.
Wow, so that was Women's Advocates. It was so great to be able to see the work that's being done in person firsthand. If you're looking for any information from Women's Advocates, we'll be sure to link that information in the description or the comments. I'll see you in the next one.